Right. Yad Kislev, Farbrengen. So we'll start with the parsha though. You know what? Where's the chumash? You want to wrap me up a chumash? You know where they are?
Right in the closet.
No, these are not so great.
Right. Left,
Okay. So, so
Nice.
Oh, it is?
the parsha is Parsha Vayeishev. It happens to be that it's the Hemshech of Yad Kislev. All the people, they party on that. And it happens to be that we're getting into Hanukkah. So, we'll take it from there. The parsha starts off, bada bada bang. Take some kegel, some challah, and some beer, whatever you find.
Gonna go like this.
Again, if you guys get really lebedik, we'll bring down the vodka.
Nice.
Are we going to have latkes next week?
Next week is latkes, hopefully.
What?
Latkele. Vayeshev Yaakov ve'eretz megurei over be'eretz Canaan ve'ela todas Yaakov Yosef. Starts off with Vayeshev. We're not going to dwell so much on that first pasuk. You can spend your whole life on it. But the next pasuk says, Chaim, Eila todas Yaakov Yosef. These are the offspring of Yaakov. Yosef ben Shvas Rishana. Yosef was 17. He was a shepherd with the Chevra. And the whole story happens with the brothers. They didn't like him, and they had dreams, and he told them, and they hated him, and Yaakov sent them to Shechem. And
what would happen today's day, the story?
What story?
what do you mean? What
Brother sells you.
your brother sells you to a slave? Yeah,
What do you mean?
I'll
what's
bet there
wrong?
are definitely parallels to nowadays.
You
If,
would call your great-grandparents
if you
from
find it.
generation. You
In
would
Africa,
meant
they have
well.
shapes.
but for our purposes, the pasuk starts off from Nachum Mendel Rimanov says, "Eile toldos Yaakov Yosef," that these are the toldos of Yaakov. Yaakov is Klal Yisrael. Yosef means moisef, to add. A yid is someone that never sits still. As you see, most yidden can't sit still, right?
Nice.
That we just, if it comes out in the wrong ways, it comes out in in business and in all sorts of taivas and everything. But if it comes out in the kedusha, then that's the nekuda. We never sit still. We can't sit still because that is our essence. Our essence is to constantly grow closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the chiyus of
Told us
life.
of Yaakov is that we keep adding on.
Yosef. That's the bechina of Yaakov. This is our essence. Our essence is to constantly be Moisef, which fits in very much with what me and Morty were just learning in Hanukkah, that Rav Nosson speaks about Hanukkah as being a famous machlokes in Hanukkah, Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel. Whether we start off with 8, Beis Shammai holds we start off the first night, is usually, or Hanukkah comes in, so we start off with 8 lights. And then each night we go lower and lower and lower. And we come to the last night, Zeus Hanukkah, we light 1 candle. Beis Hillel, obviously, anyone that, that's Mahadrin Min Mahadrin, which we all are, Baruch Hashem, fine Yidden, that we are very Mahadrin, that we light 1 candle and 2 candles and 3 candles and 4 candles and 5 candles until the last night, Zeus Hanukkah, we light 8 candles, the whole house is brightly lit. That's what we do. So the Reb Nosson speaks that the machlokes that was going on there was how and what do you deal with the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you see light of Hashem and it's flying places, so do you take that light and make it concealed? Do you conceal it? Because if the light falls into the wrong hands in the wrong ways, then it just causes damage. Or do you try with all your might to bring that light out to the people that are far away by using every manner that you can? So Beis Shammai holds that you take all the light, you constrict it, you hide it more.
What does that mean?
And what does that mean?
You hide it
It means you don't go out and you don't say, hey, you want to put on tefillin, you don't tell people, mamish, you just hide it. You got light, keep it to yourself, hide it. Mashenki and Beis Hillel hold that the more light you have, you go out and you spread it more and more and more. So if you want to see something interesting in the pasuk, we'll get back to that in a whole nakuda of it. In that very pasuk of the parsha, it says, Eila talis Yaakov Yosef ben Shvas Shana. And this morning I was listening to the laning. Today's Thursday, right? Yes. Okay, good. This morning I was listening to the laning, and we didn't say Tachnan, so it went very quickly. But Baruch Hashem, afterwards we found out that it was the Magid Nezrich's birthday or Yartzeit or something, so we had some reason not to say Tachnan. But
what about Yad Kislev?
Yad Kislev, yeah, but there was a bit of a dispute if Yad Kislev constitutes a no Tachnan, but either way.
Nice.
So it says that Yosef was shepherding with his brothers the sheep. Now, if you read Hebrew pretty well, you know that these words are very, very off. Hayaroya es echav, he was shepherding literally his brothers, batzain, with the tzon. It doesn't make sense grammatically to write it like that. You would write Hayaroya im echav es hatzain. The whole grammar is off. Obviously, we could understand what it means, but the pasuk is telling you more. So, first, I looked it up in one of these Likut Chumashim, and it came out with two pshatim. And when you unify the two pshatim, it's amazing. It says, the first pshat says, Hayroyas Echav, that this is from the Medrash Hagadol. Royas Echav means that he was shepherding his brothers, literally.
Nice.
It means that he would learn the Torah from Yaakov. Elav Torah, that's Yaakov. Yosef was the direct Mesorah and connection to Yaakov to continue the line of Klal Yisrael. And whatever he would receive from his father, he would give over, and he would lead his brothers with that Torah. Then, according to that pshat, what does batzayin mean? You lead them like sheep. But the next pshat that explains more in the tzayin is the Radak. The Radak says, why does it say batzayin with the tzayin in the tzayin? What does it mean? It means tzayin. So he says it al pi pshat kmo chitzonius, the superficial, so to speak, understanding of it would be that being that Yosef was a novice shepherd, he was just beginning to learn how to shepherd. So by him, he would go amidst the sheep, and he would watch that shepherd, and he would watch that shepherd. He was just all over the place, amongst the sheep, trying to learn the trade. But if you unify the two pshatim, you have a beautiful pshat. That he was leading them and guiding them. Right? Hayaroya es echav, he was their shepherd. And what was he telling them? Batzain. If you want to be a leader in Klal Yisrael, you don't sit in the back, you don't sit in the front, you sit amongst Klal Yisrael. Batzain, in the sheep. You have to be there with the chevra. You have to lower yourself. That's what Reb Nosson was speaking about there, that Yosef HaTzadik is this paradigm that we were speaking about, Beis Hillel, that he was Moisef HaHolach, that he was spreading the light. How did he do that? He would lower himself and be able to relate to the lowest of people. No matter who you are, no matter what you are, he was able to relate to you, and he was able to bring the Torah down to your level. And like I was speaking with Morty before, that Reb Nachman himself, at the end of his life, the last 6 months of his life, chose to pass away in Uman because of the 30,000 people that died al Kiddush Hashem there. He chose to be. He passed by there years before, and he said he hears the neshamas over there 30,000 people that died in al Kiddush Hashem that were mamash. That was around 100 years earlier.
What happened there?
They put a cross, and the Yamach Shemam, the Cossacks, Germany.
Well, what did Germany have to do with it?
This was back in 1800s.
Back
in the 1800s.
This is going back. We're talking
a lot before. So they put a cross, and they said whoever wants to become Christian, great. Whoever's not is going to get killed. And literally, I think 30,000 people in 3 days were just murdered right there, and they were buried right there. And Reb Nachman, when he passed by that area, he heard their neshamas, and he said, "Whoa, this is a place. This is a place where I want to be buried." A Kitzer, 6 months before he passed away, he moved to Uman specifically to be buried there because he was very, very sick. And Uman at that time was the place of Maskilim. It was the most enlightened center of, Jews that were writing books against Hashem, books against, Judaism and everything like that. And there were famous guys there. And he came there, and they came to see him, and they started speaking to him, and they were intrigued by him. And every day that he was there for those 6 months, they would come, and Reb Nachman would play chess with them. And while he was playing chess with them, he would schmooze with them, and Reb Nachman said the only thing that they didn't hear come out of Reb Nachman's mouth was a word of Torah. Everything was politics and astronomy and science. Everything he spoke to them about but Torah. But obviously within what he was saying, that's the whole point, that the tzaddikim hagadolim, the very, very large tzaddikim, are able to lower themselves, and they play games, and they speak with you. Sichas chulin shel talmidei chacham tzichin limud. You got to learn from the sichas chulin. So,
what's that line again?
The just schmoozing of tzaddikim, you should listen and learn from it, because every word that they're speaking has tremendous meaning. And by Reb Nachman, when he passed away, 6 months later, at the funeral, they saw Reb Nosson crying. Reb Nosson was his closest Talmud, and they said, "Reb Nosson, why are you crying?" He said, "I lost my Rebbe." They said, "What are you crying? You're going to still have your Rebbe." They said, if Reb Nosson would have been lived a little bit longer, he would have been chazer all of us to tshuva. He didn't tell them one word of Torah, but he just played chess with them. And in those words of chess, in the whole game of the whole thing, he was just infusing in them Torah. That's the level of the tzaddikim that lower themselves and bring tremendous high things into the world, even though it seems like that they're doing nothing. This is what basically what was going on here. He was shepherding the brothers and teaching them how to be amidst the people. This was the whole essence, being that it's Yad Kislev, you have to speak about the Baal Shem Tov. The whole inyan of Yad Kislev was basically that by the Baal Shem HaKadosh, he met Mashiach one day. Everyone meets Mashiach, it's pretty common stuff.
Right.
But and he asked Mashiach, when are you coming? Which has been asked before. And the Mashiach told him, when your well springs burst forth all over the world, that's when I'm going to be coming. And the Baal Tanya ended up in prison in 1798, and he was very disturbed, and he got a dream one night that the Baal Shem Tov came to him, and he said, why am I here in prison? He said, because you're revealing secrets of the Torah that were too high too soon. But, he said, should I stop revealing them if I ever get out of here? He said, no, punkt fakir. If and when you do get out of this jail, that means it's time to reveal it. And he got out on Yad Kislev, and he began to reveal the Tanya and all of the Torah's Chasidus of Chabad and all of the stuff that came down after it. Agav Orche being that, I have to add in that 1798 was also around the time that Reb Nachman went to Eretz Yisrael and came back from Eretz Yisrael, and he said everything that he said and he taught before, don't even listen to. Now is when the Torah is coming down, and everything from the Likutei Moharan, from the Rebbe's Torah, all came down around the same time. So there's tremendous influx of that. It was time for the Torah of Hasidus to spread in the world, and that's what happened. That's why they celebrate. But what was the whole Torah's Hasidus, all this stuff that we're speaking about, is very much the concept was that in those days of the Baal Shem Tov, there were Talmidei Chacham that would always sit and learn, and there were Rabbanim and Rabbeim and everything. But the Hamoinam, the regular Joe, Pasha was illiterate, barely knew how to read, barely knew how to daven. If they knew a little bit. They didn't know anything. And the Talmidei Chacham wouldn't have much to do with them, and they wouldn't teach them, and they wouldn't inspire them, because we're here to learn. You guys are working. Go to the fields and work. And you want to be a good yid. So say a few Jewish words, and what do you want from me? I'll give you a speech that you're going to burn if you don't, do tshuva on Erev Rosh Hashanah. But the Nikud is that Baal Shem HaKadosh said, no, you got to teach Torah to everyone, spread Torah to everyone. Every yid, that yid that's saying, that's sitting and saying to him is just as precious as the guy that's sitting there. And he basically blew open the world that all Yidden can come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we have to all spread the Torah that we know into everywhere. Lamaisa, that sounds, if you take it for what it is, it sounds very beautiful. I'll just add in one pshatel from the Pirkei Avos. This is my own dre, so obviously just take it for what it's worth. I might have said before, but the Mishnah, Shili, you'll help me out here with the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Arba dvarim moitzinas adam min ha'olam. Four. Different one.
Oh, different thing. Oh.
Yeah. There are 4 things that take a person out of this world.
Yeah.
Sheina shel shachris.
Like wine.
Sloofing late. Yain shel tzaharayim. Drinking wine afterwards. Get a little sloshed. Sichas iladim. Schmoozing with the kids. Basically just talking about nothing with, empty-minded people. And yeshivas bate knesias she'amei aretz, and sitting around in the amei aretz shuls where you just hang out. So that's the Pashup Shah. The Mishnah is bad stuff. All of these things are bad. But I was once in Uman, sitting in a room there with a couple of chevra eating, and Shivi Keller was there, and he's a cute guy. He's actually around now. Shivi Keller, Einod Milvado. He's a musician, very sweet musician. He's coming to Brooklyn Motzei Shabbos. There's your plug for Shivi Keller in Brooklyn. And
what does he do? He has like songs?
He's a beautiful musician. Einod Milvado. You look him up on whatever the forum that you look him up on. And basically he was there. He's a cute guy, and he basically was sitting there. And there was a couple of chevra, not a lot of chevra, and he said, Uman, it's a chutz la'aretz. So the Breslov Chevra went crazy. You can't say Uman is a chutzla, it's an Uman to Breslovers. That's like treading on holy ground. Why? Because Reb Nachman says beferish in the Likutei Moharan that the place where a tzaddik is buried is Kedush Eretz Yisrael Mamish. So we're in Uman, the tzaddik's buried here. We're in Eretz Yisrael. What are you talking about, Shivi? So he goes, no. לא מה שגוונתי. אומן זה חוץ, לארץ לגמרי. He was like, Uman is out of this world. He was like, it's not in this world. That's what I meant. They're like, say that. So when I heard that, it shed totally new light on the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Arba dvarim moitzinas adam na oilam. Oilam is helam. Oilam is concealment. So there are 4 things that take a person out of this concealed world and blow him open to higher worlds. And now if you reinterpret the Mishnah, I'll be very much Jewish. So it comes out that you see something very beautiful though. It says the 4 things that are actually amazing, that take you to the highest places, are Shena Shel Shachris, sleeping late in the Shachris. Why? Because there's a Shema from the Baal Shem Tov. He said that it's better to mamish wake up Chatzos and spend the Chatzos hours pushing away sleep and davening and learning and doing all your avodah by Chatzos, and then sleep a little bit in the day. Sleep even more into the day. It's better. Those hours are so propitious to come close to Hashem. It's better to mamish sleep. So you have a yid that says, you know what? That's what I'm doing it. I'm going to get up Chatzos. I'm going to get up at 12 o'clock and go to the mikvah. I'm going to do an hour of his B'dus Tikkun Chatzos, and I'm going to sit and learn. And he sits there and he does that. And then he sleeps a little later in the day. Fine. Shena Shel Shachar. So Yayin Shel Tzaharayim. What does that mean? Yayin is Gematria. Soyd, everyone knows. Tzaharayim is a lashon of Tzoyhar, of Zoyhar. So what is he learning in the night? The Soyd of the Zoyar. Yayin Shel Tzaharayim. He's learning Zoyar at night. That's one of the things that the people do in the night. It's a special time that you can be masig, tremendous perceptions in the secrets of the Torah. So he's up at night, he's learning the Zohar, he's learning the holy secrets of the Torah, and what does he come to? Sichas Yiladim. It says in the Gemara somewhere that the only 2 people that have Ruach HaKodesh nowadays are crazy people and kids. So he gets to the level of Sichas Yiladim, he gets to the level of Mamish, he has Ruach HaKodesh, and he's Mamish. So you'd think such a guy, he's up all night, he's learning Zohar, he's having Ruach HaKodesh, wow, he's Mamish. Mufka from the Welt, he has nothing to do with anyone, he can't even speak to anyone. What does this yid do? Come Shachris, Shivas Batei Knesset Shamiras. He sits down with the Chevra, and he has a little shot after davening. He tells him a little Maisala, and he says, Yidden, can I tell you something? He mamish lowers himself, and he mamish. Hey, these are Arba Dvarim that Moitzinas Adam in Olam. What? Wow. It's the same Nakuda. Hayaroya es Echav Bat Soin. He was shepherding them to teach them what does it mean to be a leader? Bat Soin, to be amidst the Soin, to be with the Yidden, not to be aloof, to give speeches in the pulpit, No, to be sitting there with them, lower yourself, be with them, and that's the way you lift up Yidden. The Maisa, the big or of this is that you have to spread the light, but there was a famous story that's brought down nowadays with all the hashtags of lamplighters that someone asked the Rebbe what his thing in this world is, what is he supposed to do? So he said, you have to be like a lamplighter. He said, back in the olden days, there were lampposts all over the city, and they had oil, and during the day they were off. And at night, around Shkia time, I guess, there was a yid with a torch, and he would come, and he would light all the lamps. So he said, that's what a yid's avodah is in this world, to light the lamps. Just take a torch and just light the lamps. They're lamps already. They're sitting there with all the oil. You just have to light them up. So he said, but Rebbe, what if there are no lamps around me? So he said, then no, go find them. He said, what if they're on an island? He said, go get your bathing suit and swim to the island and light the lamps. So he said, Rebbe, but what if I just see poles? I probably don't even see that there are lamps. He said, if that's the case, then you got to go inside yourself. You got to work on yourself a little bit, purify yourself, and when you purify yourself and find your own lamp and you light that up, then in Hashem you'll see all the lamps all over, and you'll be able to become a lamp lighter. So it says in the halacha, the time for lighting the menorah is after Shkia, dafka after Shkia. What does it mean, dafka after Shkia? It means it's in the darkness. The point of lighting the menorah, the time to light the menorah, is in the darkness. We light the menorah where? We light it in our house. We light it in our house, and yet, I'll be the standardized American pshat, you light it by the window, right? Hasidim don't do that. They light it by the doorpost, but the classical way to light it, I mean, in Eretz Yisrael they do both, which is probably the most lechatchila. You light it in those cases at the doorpost by the shuk, so you have the Persum and Nisa and everything. But Nakuda is that you're lighting up your home, and you're doing it at the window that it illuminates the world. So that's what the Rebbe was saying. Rabavitch Rebbe was saying that you got to light up your own self in your own home, in your own light, in your own house, in your own being, and then from there, the light spreads out into the world, and Be'ezus Hashem will be zeicha to the lechashiyefutza ma'nasecha achutza, and be zeicha to see all that stuff that comes out from that, which is basically Mashiach. Yeah, one more nakuda. that we'll bring out at the end over here. Right. It says over here, there's a cool story of it. We'll leave that for now. Chaim. It says Yosef was Ish Matzliach. Every place that Yosef went, and he was in not the funnest of places, it just says how Matzliach he was. Amazingly enough, he was Matzliach. He gets beaten by his brothers, thrown into a pit with scorpions and lions or whatever it was there, then gets sold, and gets sold into a slavery, and then gets, seduced, overcomes it, gets thrown into jail. Each time it says he was Ish Matzliach. So how could it be? How could it be? So the Nakuda is, obviously, is that each time, wherever a Yid is found, he has thoughts that, I can't believe I'm here. Why am I here? It's not where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be Yosef HaTzadik. I'm supposed to be the leader of Klal Yisrael. I'm supposed to be carrying on Klal Yisrael. So what am I doing here? Why am I here? This is crazy. Am I ever going to get out of here? No. He never thought the thoughts of Kfira, or even if he did, he battled them, and he won constantly. And he said, wherever I am, is where Hashem wants me to be. So Mamela, if I'm in a place where Hashem wants me to be, so then I'm going to always be Matzliach. So that's mamish the famous story with the Rebbe Reb Melech and Reb Zusha. It's mamish bavustere Maisa. I don't know, all the Hasidim are left already, but it's a famous story, to correct my Yiddish, a famous story with Reb Zusha and Reb Melech, that they were both imprisoned. And today, I guess, is the day to speak about imprisonments because of the Baal Tanya and Yosef and everyone. But they were in a prison. And sadly, they were in this big room, and in the middle of the room was a big pit, and there was there was stuff that you cannot daven and learn around it anywhere in that room, or with a whole bunch of chevra. And I think it was Reb Melech was just broken. He was like, I can't believe this. My whole life, every second I'm being davat to Hashem, davening and learning. They say that the Rogachover got migraine headaches when he took a haircut. That's why he had very shaggy hair, they say. Because he pushed it when you took off the yarmulke and you were giving a haircut, he couldn't think and learning. And it was the hardest thing in the world to not think and learning. He got migraines when he took a headache. That's what I heard from the Rogachover. Yeah, we also have that problem often. I can't, it's too hard. Yeah, I get migraines sometimes. Just scrolling through Facebook, I can get a migraine. I can't think of Torah right now. But the Nakuda is that.
It's crazy.
Reb Zusha, Reb Melech was just in the pits. He was like, I can't daven, I can't learn, I can't connect to Hashem. I'm broken. And Reb Zusha said, why are you broken? The rest of the year, the rest of your life, you serve Hashem with simcha by davening and learning all these things. Now Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want you to daven and learn. So serve Hashem by not davening and learning with simcha. And he was just like, what he was saying, and he said, Taka, you're right. This is the greatest day of my life. I'm serving Hashem the whole time there, but now I have a chance to serve Hashem. Mom, no learning, no nothing. And he started to dance, and he started to get so besimcha. Him and the Rosh started dancing. All the inmates were like, wow, this is great stuff. They started dancing and singing, so they started joining him, and the whole place, a couple of minutes later, were circles of singing and dancing. They don't know what they're dancing for. Zusha and Reb Melech are in ecstasy. The prison warden comes in, he hears dancing, and Freilich guy, he goes, and whirl are going on. So one of the guys goes, the Jews over there. He goes, what's happening? I don't know. They're dancing. Why? Because of the bathroom in the middle of the place. I don't know why, but there's a bathroom, and they got very filled with joy. He's like, I'll show those Jews. And he said, have it removed. So he removed the whole bathroom. He got it all cleaned up. And Rav Zusha tells Rav Melech, start davening. Let's go. Now you can start davening. The Nikud is that wherever you are, there is an avodah. Mamish, the avodah is where you are. As the other story that Rabbi Jacobson's been saying over a lot, that's also a famous story that they say over from the Hasidim. There was a Yid Moshe, and it said over in Kam V'Kam Nuschos, there's a Yid Moshe, and he was, his mitzvah, his avodah was esrog. And Lulav, the Arba Minim, every guy has his mitzvah, his thing. Some guys go crazy over Tefillin, some guys go crazy over Shabbos, some guys go crazy over Esrog and Lulav. That was his thing. One year, Mamish, no matter how much money, you couldn't find an Esrog. There was a drought, whatever, no Esrog. Finally, you hear is that 3 towns over, they're offering Esrog, and it's not even the nicest. It's okay, Esrog, $3,000. He was like, it's crazy. I don't have $3,000. Who has $3,000 as is and for an Esrog? It's crazy. Erev Yontav, Erev Sukkot, he's just feeling like, how can I go into Sukkot without an Esrog? So he thinks, he's just finishing davening, he's rolling up his tefillin, he goes, that's it, tefillin. My tefillin's worth $3,000. He runs to the pawn shop. I'm not going to need it for the next 8 days, 9 days. Chutz La'aretz. Let me pawn it. I'll get esrog. I'll deal with it. Noch yontif, I'll deal with it. So he goes to the pawn shop. The guy's like, all right, sure, $3,000. He gives it to him. He runs to the esrog dealer. Erev yontif. Sure enough, he has a beautiful esrog. He comes. He pays him $3,000. He comes back home. He's overjoyed. He wants to share his joy with everyone owns home. So he puts it down, with the little, here, there, and he puts it down in the kitchen. And he's like, he runs out to finish building the sukkah. Sure enough, he comes back in like a half an hour, 40 minutes later, and he sees his wife. He goes, I gotta tell you. She goes, what? I found the esrog of a lifetime. She goes, wow, how? I sold my tefillin. He goes, what? How do you sell your tefillin for an esrog? He says, listen, I don't need my tefillin now. My esrog. So she goes, wow, okay, let me see it. He goes, okay, it's right there. And she's like, what? He's like, yeah, it's right there. I put it in the kitchen right there on the counter. She's like, oh. I was making a salad and I saw this beautiful lemon, so I chopped it up and skinned it and squeezed it, and now it's in the garbage with the leftover cholent from last week. And he's like,
Oh, okay.
okay. He takes like a deep breath,
Yeah, I got this.
and then he gives, according to the Reb Jacobson's version, he gives a hug to his wife, and he says, my dear wife, I just want you to know, I love you with all my heart. Mom is the most beautiful. I love you above everyone and everything. And she's like, Maishila, are you going to kill me later tonight? So he says, no, not at all. And Mom is saying it with Lev Shalom. She goes, you're scaring me. So he goes, let me explain to you. He says, I came in at Shachris this morning, and I said, I have tefillin, but my mitzvah now is esrog. So I don't need my tefillin. So I sold my tefillin, I got the esrog. He said, but now I don't have an esrog. And when I found out that you chopped it up, I realized that I don't have an esrog now. My mitzvah now is to love my wife. So I transferred all of that over straight to the mitzvah of loving my wife. And that's why I really mean it for everything. And the Nakuda is that wherever we are, that is our avodah, that is our thing, that is our connection to Hashem. Hashem should help. Kislev, al tzadikim, we should be zeicha to the or of Chanukah, be mere in ourselves and in the world. Amen. Ken yiratzai.